Thanks so much. So I've been in this business since I was 19, actually. Um, I did some real estate investment stuff, and our insurance agent, who was a nationwide guy, begged me to get my license. So I did. I worked at a couple different nationwide offices. I worked for State Farm, and then I ended up doing some health insurance and ended up paying for a whole bunch of licenses. I'm licensed in like 43 states, which gets kind of expensive when you're just writing health insurance with a captive agency. So Juan called me right after I had signed on with a captive health insurance. It was just like on a dialer. It wasn't like making any kind of real money. And I was like, well, I just did this. I can't come on right now. And within 3 months, I called him back. I'm like, can you please let me come? So he was happy to bring me on, and
How did you know Juan?
he found me on LinkedIn.
Oh, he
And
did on
in
LinkedIn.
fact, um, the day that I had started, well, actually, I think that I was on a dialer, and it was during COVID, and I was supposed to have like some help come in to take care of my kids so that I could then work. And they let me go because I wasn't signed on enough. And that particular day is the day that he reached out and called me. I'm
Wow.
like, this has to be a God thing. That there's no way it
Hmm.
would happen the same day. So, anyways, I started, and I still work for my dad, so I do this part-time. So it's been years of trying to balance both. And it recently I decided that I needed to make a decision, that I needed to put this first. And not that I'm not going to help my dad, but I've never told him before, hey, I have to get on a Zoom call because I have to write insurance. And I kind of just shared with him, these are the numbers. This is what I can make. And before it was always, I never kept track of anything. I didn't know how many appointments I had. I didn't know how much I spent on leads. And that's the worst way to manage the business, because unless you know what's going on, you can find yourself in a big hole for all the leads that you bought and all the business you're not writing because you don't have time to call the leads. So it's really just, you have to buy the leads and you have to put in the work and call the leads, follow up, just be super consistent. And now I feel like I'm finally there. I have a process. I know who shows, who doesn't show. I know what I'm writing. I know what the commission is. I keep track of everything now, and that's really been such a changing point. And I've always been afraid to spend more on leads, but I went to conference, and one always said, "Oh, you need to come to conference. It'll change your business." I never believed him, but I went and I saw all these 20-year-olds making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if they can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it. So I doubled my ad spend, and it's like full force ahead.
So did that like scare the heck out of you when you did that?
Um, well, full disclosure, I started asking the golden question that no one wants to ask. And it doesn't matter if you know anything about annuities, but the money's there and no one's asking. And you just have to open your mouth. And if you don't know how to write it, that's fine. There's plenty of people that will help you. So going into convention, I found two annuity deals from just regular IUL leads, and one was 250,000 and one was 600,000. So,
Wow.
and I asked for help. So I got 50% of the commission, but that's 50% of is better than zero. So, so that being said, I wasn't really scared to double my ad spend then, but I see that there's so much money to be made in this business, and you can change your life, but you really just have to work.
So is that your main focus? You're looking for annuity money?
Um, I'm still doing IULs, but I used to get mad when I would get a lead and I saw the person was 67. And now I'm excited about it because I know how to spin it. And and it's amazing that people just will tell you, like, yeah, I have money in a 401k, and yes, it's losing money, and sure, I want to talk about it. And I'm fine doing the smaller ones. But the recent ones I ran into, I know without help I wouldn't have been able to close them myself, and I'm fine with that.
I see you have your security dog in the background there. Is that
Yeah.
do you ask the golden question better when your dog is there?
My golden doodle.
Yeah. So when you're like what's the age range that you're really seeing you're getting your annuity money from? I mean,
I would say 60 and over. And the other thing is like because I still work for my dad, I do a lot of discovery calls because I feel like I can weed people out if I do a discovery call than just getting them on a Zoom. So if they get on a Zoom with me, we've already discussed all the details. And on the Zoom, we're pretty much just crunching numbers, making sure it makes sense, and submitting an application. So that kind of weeds out a little bit and gives me more time to free me up to do what else I have to do. But yeah, I would say 60 and over. And I've kind of changed my approach to um I just give them the details and I have this kind of like I don't really care if you apply or not. Like I just want to get through the lead. That's my goal, to resolve the lead. If you say yes, fine. If you say no, that's okay. And I think people can tell your tonality as opposed to like if you go into it like feeling like you have to make a sale. And so if they're not ready to do it, that's fine. I had a lady, it took her 2 months to make a decision. She did an IUL on herself, one on her husband, and we did an annuity, two annuities actually. And she called me back and said, "This is what I want to do." And she was ready to go. And I mean, they were $500 a month on both of them.
so
And
your
it was
attitude is
40,000.
it's not like, hey, I gotta write this, I need the money. It's just I'm here to resolve it. I know what I'm doing, and it doesn't
Exactly.
matter to me whether you do anything or not. You're
Right.
just
Because
gonna
it's a numbers game that you just need more leads. And the more leads you have, the more shots you have. You don't have to be the best closer or know all about the product or anything like that. You just need, it's a numbers game.
now Felipe is asking, what carriers are you using for your annuity business and what products?
Well, that's kind of um, a theme, but also North American, but there's kind of a backstory with that.
Are you
They,
writing this down?
I can.
Oh, hold on,
I got NLG and F&G, and I don't have a theme.
I use NLG for their Fit Secure Growth product. So that's a great product if someone can't qualify for an IUL, because there's no medical requirements and you can put multiple payments in there. So I had a lady with a smaller Roth IRA that she couldn't transfer into like an Athene product because it wasn't enough money. So we put it in the Fit Secure Growth, and then she's just continuing to make payments on that going forward.
nice. Now we do have, let me see if I can share my screen just real quick, because we have a lot of annuity writers on this team.
That's awesome.
And so I forgot to do this during the previous segments. So what I'll do here, so since our last Thursday's call, Daniel Broadway, look at, he starts the week with an $18,000 IUL and a $6,000 IUL. So look at that smiling face.
Awesome.
And actually, Daniel, we're going to have him on next week, which will be great. And then Christy, who couldn't be here, she did $4,800 IUL. And then Daniel, 4,800. Preston, who I was talking about earlier, does the vet leads, 1,200. And we're primarily National Life Group. Danny, who is our former business manager in the music industry turned insurance extraordinaire, 3,600. Felipe, 2,400. Daniel came in. This wasn't this was just a referral from another client, 18,000. And this was today. And then Daryl Keithley put in 3 F&G annuities for 173,000, 40,000, and 48,000. So that's like a good day.
Great day.
I mean, so you got to love that. Do you use F&G at all or not so much?
Just for IULs, not really for annuities.
Okay. Francis calls it, well, I better not say that because we're recording this. So puts all his felons through F&G.
Do they take felons?
Apparently they do, don't they, Francis? Nah, he's muted. So so as far as leads go, so you're using IUL leads to find annuity money. and I know you're using you're in the process of switching your carrier. So basically you're with a lead vendor
Mhm.
who charges you like a monthly management fee and then you put up a daily spend. Is that right?
I do. So right now, I think the management fee is 400 and it's $50 a day. And those particular ones are Google Leads. I'm not getting rid of those. They're too good to get rid of. I've had with that ad spend, the ad quantity in the past couple weeks has been phenomenal. I don't know if they changed something, but I mean it's just been great. And then I'm adding another lead vendor, and these are supposed to be a lot more pre-booked Zooms. So I'm anxious to try a different approach to see if doing a Zoom from the get-go um, gets a different result.
Yeah, and we can talk about it because Dan's in the group, right?
Oh,
So
okay. So
so
they're
he's
Dan Trinati's leads.
yeah, Dan Trinati's leads, and he's saying they're a little bit more money, but they have the kind of intent that Google Leads have.
Right.
But he's not out there promoting it. He said, "Hey Neal, if there's anybody in your group that wants to do it, by all means, we can do it. But we're not opening it up to outside
Mm.
sources." And what did he say the percentage of pre-books are? Like
Um,
40%
I
or
think it's like 40 to 50. They go live on Saturday, so I'm excited to try it. And Juan's doing it too. So if he's gonna try it, I guess it's good, right?
yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. So and on this call, don't be nervous, but Juan Franco, I mean, not Juan Franco, but Francis Lejudas was the #1 IUL producer in all of FFL. And it's,
Awesome.
Francis works in our office, just that's his office right over there. And he is just, the key to him is he's just Mr. Consistency. Both
Mhm.
now he's living with 3 women, 2 daughters and his wife. So he just has that wonderful temperament, I guess. He's
Mhm.
been baptized by fire, being around all those women. But it's really amazing. And it's just a pleasure to work with him. So
So, hey, Amy, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So, could you kind of go over your discovery call because it sounds like you're really getting into a lot of information if your Zoom is really just, hey, let's tighten this up, make sure it looks right, and do an application.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like I might get too much information that it kind of shoots me in the foot. But honestly, if they're not interested, I just don't have time. I have 3 kids, I have 2 jobs. I just don't have time. So in the
Well, there's
discovery,
people on here that are like you that work part-time and you're, when you have someone that just no shows you or you just get a little bit of information, you think they're excited, but they're really not. When you get a lot of information, you have a tendency to really know whether they're going to show up or not. Would
right.
you say by doing what you're doing with your discovery that your no-show rate has gone down and your show rate has gone up?
Yeah,
Or
my
do you know?
my no-show rate on my Zoom calls is far less than just on a discovery. So I feel like I've built some sort of rapport with them that at least if they can't make it, they follow up with me and say, hey, we'll reschedule or
Right.
something. So that part is, I mean, I still have no shows, but at least we're rescheduling and moving the process forward. So basically, I kind of just say, where are you in this process? Is this something you know a lot about, a little about? And they kind of tell me that. And then I said, okay, my goal here is to just fill in the details, just tell you what an IUL is, how it works. And then if it makes sense for us to set up a Zoom call to crunch numbers and see if it makes sense for you, we'll do that. And then I say, there's 3 types of people that contact me. One person wants to do this for retirement. They like the tax-free retirement concept. One person has heard, hey, I can be my own bank. I want to move money in and out. And the third person just really needs a death benefit. And then I say, like, where do you find yourself in that situation? And then they tell me, and I say, okay, based on that, this is how we would typically structure the policy. So if it's solely for retirement, it's typically going to be the lowest possible death benefit based on the money that you put in. So I kind of go through that. And then I just explain, like, in that we use because a lot of people are scared when they hear it's life insurance. They like check out. And I kind of make it like we use life insurance because in the eyes of the IRS, an investment is something that's taxable, but life insurance isn't. So there's special tax code that actually allows us to do what we do to move this money around tax free. And that's why we use life insurance. And then, I mean, I'll get people that say, okay, if I put in X number of dollars, what's my death benefit? And like sometimes if I'm in front of my computer, I'll log in and just give them like basic numbers. I don't really get into that part so much unless they really push me on it. And then I just kind of explain how the index works, that they're not directly invested in the market, that they can't lose any money. They participate only in the upside, never the downside. And then we kind of just talk about how they're saving money now and what they think that looks like for them. So I mean, it's not a super long call. I mean, we're probably on and off in 10 minutes, but I kind of just give them enough info that by the time we get to the Zoom call, they're ready to look at numbers and say, okay, what do I have to do next?
So what is your close, or what are you saying to go to that Zoom? Or how in your mind do you know that these people are ready?
So a lot of times they'll just say, okay, so what do I have to do next? If this is what I want to do, what do I have to do? Or if they don't say that, I'll say, do you want to set up a Zoom and crunch numbers and see if it makes sense? And yes, no. And then we set up a Zoom. And I mean, I had someone last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, like we're hanging up and he set his Zoom already. And he goes, oh, by the way, he's like, I'm thinking about putting like 25 or $50,000 a year in. Okay, fine. Like, and I don't like, there's no emotion to that. Like, fine. Like, I have
Right,
people that put
right,
in or $100 a month, $10,000 a month. It doesn't matter what, obviously the cash growth is different on both ends, but you can do whatever you want. So I think
right,
that like if you get all excited because there's just like when you had your sale, because they say
right.
$60,000, they're like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't do this.
So do you ask them in your discovery about how much are they saving, or how much would you like to put into their IUL, or do you wait for the Zoom to do
I
that?
generally wait to the Zoom unless they volunteer that information.
Okay, nice. That's good stuff.
And then
I
on
like that.
so when you get on the Zoom, then we've always learned the Dan Hatcher close, which is okay. So here's what you need to. Here's what we need to do next. We got to put in a request for coverage. If it were up to us, we'd approve you. What is your transition into getting on and doing the app?
Once we determine like what that it seems like the numbers look good to them on the screen, I just say, okay, are you ready to submit a request for coverage? Um, I just like it needs to be approved, obviously. And I would say I have more issues with people not being truthful on the application than like actually submitting the application. Like no matter what, we're gonna find it. And I think that people just think that it doesn't matter what they have in their medical history or their driving record or whatever, that
Right.
we're not gonna find it. Just this week, I had a guy whose license was suspended for child support, and he got a DWI because he drove taking Tylenol with codeine. You didn't think that was applicable when we submitted the application?
That's a deal breaker for sure.
That's a
Yeah,
deal
but you
breaker.
can't. I mean, no matter we've tried everything. I mean, we've said, hey, you have to answer accurately because we can literally lose our ability to write with this carrier if we put in too many applications that get denied.
Yeah. And I
And
find myself telling them like it's better if we disclose it. Like if there's anything, it's better if we put it on here than if they find it after the fact.
interesting. I love the your point of there's three types of things we could do: tax-free retirement, be your own bank, or death benefit. So which one of those three, I guess you say, interests you the most, or are you most interested in?
Mhm.
Let's see.
Um, the question about the health,
Yeah.
um, the leads that I'm running, it actually asks them if they're healthy or if they're taking a medicine, like healthy taking a medicine or no medicines. So, and then it also asks them about like felonies, DUIs, et cetera, right before they submit the actual lead form. So I can see that. And then also, one of the questions is like, how are you currently saving for retirement? So I kind of have a heads up on some of those things. So I'll go over that in the discovery.
Now, those are Jeremy leads, High Sierra.
They are, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we've kind of noticed the same thing. Google was real. We were all on Google leads
Hmm.
last year. And then about August or September, it seems like they switched something up. And it really crushed the ability to get those leads. And now it's changing back, whatever they're doing.
It was bad for a while, but most recently, I mean, it has just been, and I had some other leads that I wasn't so happy with, and I was finally able to get rid of those. So I'm going to see how the Trinati goes, but I might put the extra funds in my High Sierra again and see what happens.
So just out of curiosity, what's your dad's business?
It's Bluetooth manufacturing and RFID card readers. So I spend a
Wow.
lot of evenings at 10 p.m. on the phone with Taiwan.
I'm sure that's a pretty big business.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
I don't pretend to know I just run it in the background.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know anything. So
Well, I love
the
that.
what's that?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the other thing is to like have a good support system. So, my husband is actually in the process of getting his license too. But I mean, we take my son to wrestling, and we sit there for 2 hours on Monday and Thursday night, literally responding to messages, text messages, texting customers. So it's very important to have someone that supports what you're doing because it does feel like an island if you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, no doubt. So what advice would you give people who are really, because there are a lot of people that haven't started or are just getting started on this call?
Um, don't be afraid to buy leads, but when you buy them, you have to work them. It's not going to happen by itself, and it really is a numbers game. And you don't have to know everything about the product before you start. You just need to start. The product knowledge can come later, and I'm sure if they're on a call and they have a question, they can reach out and someone will answer their question if they're unsure.
Perfect. So why don't we do this? Let's open it up. If anybody has any questions, you can unmute and ask Amy. She's she's very cordial, and I mean, this is a great turnout. You know, because we were changing CRMs, I texted that little thing that I sent you out to everybody, and it sure is a good example of I need to do that every week because we got 38 people on the call, and we really should have 40 or 50. But anyways, so this is just like Juan does his meetings, I think on Sunday night, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah. And so, and we do ours on Thursday. So you're always welcome to tie into our meetings.
I appreciate that because I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah. So MJ, any questions?
Well,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Philippa.
and Amy, gosh, thank you so much because we know you're taking time away from your family and your business, your kids, and your dad. So kind of rewind it a little bit. You're getting IUL leads, and you talked about asking the question, which is the golden question: do you have anything else that acts like life insurance, any old 401k savings or whatever? So, in your discovery call, is that when you're asking that question, or are you doing that in the Zoom to help the new
Usually in the discovery because I need to know if an IUL even makes sense for them. If I already know it's not going to, and if it's a complicated case and I think I'm going to need to call in help, I would rather have that set up and just do one meeting with an annuity specialist and go at it that way. Because I don't want to put them in something that doesn't make sense for them.
Perfect. That's right. And then IULs, I mean, they can be like you had said for your 3 different reasons to find out what they're looking for. But again, new people that are helping people with mortgage protection, all that, these products we call them IULs, but they can be they're great mortgage protection products. You don't have to, put them over in a pigeonhole, right? I mean,
I don't know if anyone was on the SRS liftoff call today, but F&G has completely reworked their Everlast product. And from a mortgage protection standpoint, or if it's solely life insurance that you're looking for, I think the commission's better on that product, and it looks like they get more death benefit for the same amount of money. So that's probably a great. I know we're primarily a national life group, but from a customer standpoint, that might be a good option as well.
You're right. And I love what Frank said at the end where, we can get on and see. I had no idea the playlist. I had no idea on YouTube
Me
that
neither.
we could do that. So if people want to know where to go for that training, it's on YouTube. And I can't remember, I wrote it down. I can't remember where he said to go. But
It's under playlists on YouTube. You just look up SRS Liftoff. And I was one of those people that was emailing him for recordings.
me too. I just said, can
No
I get a
idea.
recording? Because she goes fast. She went fast through some of that stuff. But if anybody has questions on that, reach out. We'll get you where you can go for the training, because that was really a great mortgage protection product demo. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
Let's see, I think Felipe, you had a question, and then we'll get to Peter and Chase. Felipe's out in California. Is he still on, or did he have to jump off for his Zoom call?
I think he had a Zoom call.
Yeah, he had a Zoom call. Okay. Peter, you have your hand up. So go ahead and unmute yourself and fire away.
Amy, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. My leads right now, I still haven't bought any leads, but I have older clients over the years that I'm asking about their children. When I say old, they at least 70, 80, so their children could be 40 or 50s.
Right.
That's how my clientele now. One question I need to ask one of them, the mother told me she's a school teacher, has either 403B or similar type. How did the conversation would go with this type of person to an IUL when is a school teacher has a 403B?
It could just be an additional savings vehicle. I mean, I would never tell anyone to give up free money if someone's matching money, but if they're saving additional funds elsewhere. And the 403B, I mean, it depends how old they are. The lady that I mentioned that did 2 IULs and an annuity, she had 4 403Bs and just happened to be over 59 and a half, and we were able to move that money for her.
She's 60, this particular woman.
Perfect option.
So
Yeah.
what would I say to her? What would that conversation be like to get her interest in IUL?
Well, it depends if an IUL is a great fit for her. It might be if she doesn't have enough money to put into it, it might not be the perfect fit just because the cost of insurance is going to be higher. But she would be a great annuity client. So it could just be a question, are you happy with your 403B? Are you losing money? Would you be interested in me showing you something that could prevent you from losing money going forward?
So you talk about a rollover into the annuity.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter, I want to just add one thing. Felipe jumped off, but almost 100% of his leads come from schools where he's calling, doing seminars on school teachers.
Right.
He is really, really knowledgeable on the whole 403B thing. As a matter of fact, right now he had to jump off because he wrote an IUL on a school teacher, and they called him and said they think they want to do a national life group annuity instead. And so we talked a little bit about how to address that issue. So why don't I arrange a 3-way call between me and you and him, and we can kind of discuss what he says, because he's really good at it.
That's a great idea, because I understand he's been doing it, and the questions I'll be asking we'll set up a meeting, three of us. That's a great idea. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll text,
Okay.
I'll get us on a group text tonight.
Okay.
Okay,
okay.
awesome. Let's see, Chase, you're next.
Amy, thank you for your time and your advice. I really appreciate it. I'd just like to ask everybody, if you just had one choice of a book to recommend, what would it be?
Yes.
Atomic Habits.
What?
What would it
I
be?
would say the
Atomic
psychology of
Habits by
selling.
James Clear.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy is real good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
My pleasure.
All right, let's see. Danny, you're next.
Nice. Hi, Amy. How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
Welcome to the English speaking side of.
Yeah.
Much
Dan.
appreciated.
Oddly enough, you and I need to trade spaces or spots because I only do IULs in Spanish.
Well, there you go.
So we need to swap. Again, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. I've gotten a lot of good nuggets from this call. So thanks again. My question is more on like your discovery calls. It sounds like you're really thorough. I have the fortune, I'm fortunate to sit next to Neal and Francis and listen to their calls, and it's just so consistent and it's so good. And then I hear other people that just kind of fly through them. My question is more on like the timing, like how much timing do you spend on the discovery call? And then when you're actually writing the actual policy, like the second call, the second Zoom?
The discovery call is probably only 10, maybe 15 minutes. It just depends how many questions they have. I mean, some people really like to get into the weeds and know how everything works. And I kind of find if that's the person, they're less likely to buy because they just have way too many questions. And then when we get to the Zoom call, if they really have more questions and they really want to go through it, I have like a old, really crappy PowerPoint. I wish I had a better one, but it's terrible. That's why I don't really use it. And I'll go through that, and it just kind of has some graphics and it explains how indexing works and things like that. But aside from that, we just go through the illustration and
Okay.
what living benefits are and what the cash looks like and et cetera.
So you kind of just you only use a presentation of like you feel like you need to if they're asking those specific questions. Otherwise, you just jump right into the.
Yeah. If I had a great presentation that I really loved, I might use it more often, but I don't love it. And I feel like we can accomplish the same thing just with a conversation.
Cool. Thank you.
I just text Juan your picture. And then I did one of Danny too. I said, hey, I thought that was a pretty funny conversation between you, but it's so true. So I've been meaning all day to send Juan a note, just getting the okay to tie you in, Danny, to his Spanish meeting. He'll do that for sure. He's great. All right, good. So who's next? Anybody got anything? You're on East Coast time, so ending a little bit early was always welcome.
Well, I'll just say this, Amy, I appreciate you're just so level, very matter of fact. There's people that try to be over professional, like know it all. You're just real genuine. And I just appreciate how you present yourself and share with us too. So thank you.
Thanks. Sales has never been like, I'm never going to be the best salesperson, but I just try to be me. And if they like it, that's great. And if they want to buy from someone else or not do it, that's okay too.
Well, it seems to be working pretty good because you've already exceeded your last year's annuity issue paid. You know what? I think people want genuine. I remember a long time ago, Sean Mike, when we were doing the face-to-face, he said, if you don't share something personal about yourself, they will never share anything to you. And that has just served us really well, just being transparent and listen, this is what we do. They just want to work with someone that knows what they're doing. And you project that. and you do know what you're doing. So that makes it's a double bonus.
Well, and sometimes the customers get more than they ask for. And I'll tell you a quick story. My son, I was on a Zoom call. I had locked my kids out of my bedroom. This is before I moved into my house. We were in a very small apartment at the time. And my daughter was screaming. So I told my customer to hold on. And I went to see what was going on, and she was bleeding. So while I'm getting a Band-Aid, the customer did not have his camera on. And I come back, and my son has his shirt off and he's flossing in front of the computer. And my customer saw it, and I was mortified. I was like, I am so sorry. Like, he had no idea. He couldn't see whatever. So he still bought. It was like $600 a month. And I get off the phone, and my son Jack says to me, well, did I make you any money? I was like, actually, you did. And he's like, well, how much? Because he's really into knowing about money. So he wanted to know if he could do that again for me. I said, no, that was a one-time only deal. Thanks so much.
But it's very, I mean, it's life. And who
It's life.
You can't relate to
A kid
that.
could walk in at any point in time. That's just how it is.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anybody, kind of last chance here, if anybody has any questions, and then what we'll do is we'll we'll get this up to the drive and get that link out to everybody. Perfect. Okay. I put a link in.
Thanks.
Oh, hey, just real quick, one last thing. I put because we switch CRMs, I put a link in for any of you guys that if you want to get on, talk about leads. We've got some really good lead sources. We know the ins and outs of the lead business. And back in the day when we started, we'd go in the CRM, we'd call people. I just talked to a lady today. She's with Symmetry, and she was telling the way we used to do it, which is go in the CRM, buy leads, call those people, and if you didn't get cussed out 2 or 3 times in a day, you weren't dialing. And it's changed so much, but you got to know your way around, because people will try and charge you. I've heard $3,000 a month for a management fee and $45 a lead. I mean, that is ridiculous, and there's no need to spend that kind of money. But so we've tried most of the leads. Heck, Daniel Broadway suggested a lead type, and he's trying it, and it's for annuities. And so, we're always trying different things so we can give you some good advice. So if you want to book a time to talk about that, that's my link. Just feel free to go ahead and click on it and book something on my calendar. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, Amy, thank you so much. Just
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And you're always welcome. This meeting never changes, so it's the same. So you're welcome to come and hear the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel Broadway next week. It's going to be amazing. He is something else. So we just appreciate you, and tie in anytime. You're more than welcome. We speak English.
I appreciate that.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. If you need anything, let us know. Daniel, anything to add, or?
No, I'm good, man. I'm impressed. Like, there's not much I could add. Amy nailed it. Like, demeanor's there. Like, the way she talks to clients is there. Y'all don't need me. Y'all got her. Like, that's like, she's an all-star. So
I'm coming back next week to hear you.
Great job tonight, homie. Great job.
Thanks.
I can tell
Awesome.
Daniel Broadway's selling because that new office looks sick, dude.
That is a sick looking office, bro.
You can do a lot with AI. I'm just saying, you can do a lot with AI.
Look at that. Penthouse suite, brother. Once you move to New York.
My last name is Broadway, fool.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but we have that in Nashville too.
Every city has a Broadway. I think they do. Which is the same reason, I'll divert it back, which is the same reason why every team should have an Amy. Y'all got some good info tonight. Y'all did.
Yeah, it's good. Excellent. All right, guys, on that note, thank you, Amy. You have a great weekend, and thanks for tying in, everybody.